Right off the bat, this here is the Update 9 highlights video. It's 2 minutes and 32 seconds, which I think is already like 5 times less long than the previous video was. You could infer from what you see here that nothing really new has changed from some of the individual blocks and pieces. This overhang here might actually be a blueprint from the workshop I've seen, which is kind of cool. Let's get into this. I've not seen anything about this update yet, so I'll be going into this completely blind. I'll be sharing my thoughts. Maybe you get something out of this that you didn't previously hit it.
Heyo everyone! We can't wait to show you what's coming to Planet Coaster 2 in April. Shall we have a look at what's included in Free Update 9? Jonathan?
Okay, I have to pause. Because I already see something that I'm super hyped for. This launch right here, I was super annoyed by the fact that we didn't have launched wing coasters. And now we do, is what I'm seeing. And what's more, they have these just pure frame pieces for the coaster instead of the plexiglass or the cover on it. So that's really nice.
In Free Update 9? Jonathan, take it away.
Let's get this game started.
All right, let's get into this.
Across your parks, you can now place a wide range of classic arcade machines, each one designed to capture that timeless mix of excitement and skill. For example, guests can test their precision with Token Tumble, but winning is always just one coin away.
There's also Pop-Up Panic, Alley-Oop, Paddle Battle, a ticketed claw machine, Feat of Strength, Yeet Ball, Hoop Throw, and classic video game cabinets.
Holy, that's a lot. That's actually so much. Yeah, we also have these what Sultan machines, whatever you would call them. Don't steal my idea. I know there are plenty of you in this chat that aren't talking. Have any of you played Blueprints? I want to make a Mighty Alzara skin for this thing. I think it'd be so fun.
Returning from the original Planet Coaster, the Fortune Machine, and the Claw Machine. We've also added 3 officially licensed Atari cabinets, bringing an authentic retro experience to your arcade lineup.
Hold on, I gotta see that frame again. Look at this. Still have PTSD from that game? Yeah, I bet. But they got Pong, Asteroids. I wonder what the creative licensing on some of these are. But just look at the cabinets. They're so well decorated. Like the edges, the curves on everything, it's accurate. It feels like it's very high poly, which I guess is to be expected because many of the vending machines are also very similar, but I feel like these go a step further. It's like the team really outdid themselves this time.
Lineup. Your guests can try their hand at Pong, Asteroids, and Centipede.
Link your arcade games to prize counters to create fully connected arcade areas where guests can play, win, and redeem rewards.
Oh, cool. Hold on. Let's look at that. That's quite the lineup. I wonder if that back shelf is actually interactable, because here's the thing. And I don't mean interactable in the sense that it's just like a thing that you can put down and guests can go up to it, but like in the sense that you can attach it to whatever the modular gift shop is. But it looks like that might be a new gift counter. Really unclear. I'll have to see what it turns out to be in game, because I'm not seeing a pattern on these back shelves, meaning that it's probably all hand placed. If so, it's good. Looks like a new counter. Yeah, it kind of does. Notice the signage on the back. I wonder if this whole thing is its own counter, which is low-key maybe a little cringe, but we'll have to see. Now that I'm seeing it, actually, the plushies and the key rings on the counters here are exactly the same. So I'm thinking that we do get a new counter for specifically arcades, which I know was just shown, but like I could have foreseen a reality where the gift shop counter just got like moved around a little bit, and you can attach like arcade cabinets to it as well, and it just gets renamed or something.
All of these arcade games are perfect for guests to enjoy when they need a little break from your coasters. And speaking of coasters,
in Free Update 9, we are bringing in a variety of coaster improvements. You can now toggle your ride lighting to be on.
Yes! Oh my word. Finally, dude. I have been waiting for this for a while. Do you know how many people would complain about this? Deactivated ride lights. Hold on, I want to check that drop-down menu. Night only, activated or deactivated. That's huge. Already since launch? Yeah, right? Like, it's been a problem ever since the game came out. Very nice.
Or only on at night for both coasters and track rides, making your dark rides truly dark.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Free Update 9 also adds track variations across a range of rides, including thick beam options for several V&N coasters.
Automax coasters.
Wait, hold on. I want to check the price on that because it actually does matter in some cases. It's $60 either way. But now you're seeing the thicker variant. This will help a lot for people that actually want to like put in the work to have custom supports and make it look fairly like and understandably realistic. So these are added to V&N coasters, which is basically like the B&M variants. But what kind of sucks is that you can't do this for like the old Aero adjacent designs, because I know a lot of people have been making custom loops for Aeros too, like the Aero looping coaster. It's a classic. You know exactly what I'm talking about if you know anything about coasters.
Automax coasters also get expanded track styles, with tri-tube and bi-tube variations now available. And the V&N Wing coaster now supports the LSM launch and whole track pieces, giving you even more ways to customize your rides. And for the...
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna listen to that again, because I think that might be an audio improvement to the launch track.
Ways to customize your rides. And for the empty space
I like that much more. So, the original LSMs make kind of like a weird squeal, if you will. I hope that's actually in game, but they didn't really talk about it here, so I could see it going either way. They mentioned like the bi-tube and tri-tube support variants for like multiple coasters. I think that's going to be huge. It'll give your ride so much more of an interesting variation in look. I'm especially interested in how this will look with X-Dimension coasters, because the center of the whole coaster needs to be so stinking thick when it's going down the very high pressure areas of the valleys and hills. So that's something that players can take into consideration if it's actually a real feature. I don't necessarily know that that's the case because they specified like try and buy support variants. I don't know if this is already a thing. I haven't really experimented with the X Dimension. That's just something that comes to mind for me personally.
don't quite know how to fill, we're introducing a variety of new flat ride blueprints across a range of themes.
These are good. I mentioned this in my previous video, specifically about Update 8, where flat ride blueprints is always good. It's what gets new players in the door and helps them have fun with the game, because when they pick up the game and they want to look for stuff, they don't want to sift through the workshop to find like 5 crappy blueprints to find 1 good blueprint. So this is really, really good for the longevity of the game. Oh, this is the teaser for the DLC. Yeah, I bet that's parades like people were talking about. Compared to Update 8, from what I can tell so far, I was cautiously optimistic about Update 8 because of how many things they were changing about the management perspectives. I feel like this is more akin to helping people fill out their parks with different types of things. I've talked about a concept before where you have entertainment centers, if you will. Maybe like somewhere where you would go to just enjoy like water slides or going to an arcade, or maybe there's a go-karts, but there's no coasters or flat rides or anything. America has so many of these, and I feel like arcades lend themselves so much to this mentality and general design philosophy, where you can have places to go that are not necessarily theme parks. So entertainment spots like Pills is talking about is like exactly what I think the game needs more of. Just kind of like entertainment adjacent zones where you can do stuff like that. Here's the thing, we can already kind of make parades in game using a trick you can find on Tagi's channel, which I suggest you look at if you haven't already. As far as I understand, it might be a little piece heavy, so consoles might have a little trouble with it. I want to have a look at the patch notes because the video doesn't show all of it. Heyo, park managers. It's time to introduce a new way to entertain your guests. Get ready to create awesome arcades in your parks, complete with a selection of classic Atari arcade machines. Update 9 for Planet Coaster 2 will be available free on all platforms April 30th. So this is a very interesting side note. If you're not already familiar, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 was developed by both Atari and Frontier. And then Atari kept the Roller Coaster Tycoon name because they owned the rights to it, and then they proceeded to make Roller Coaster Tycoon World after, you know, a little bit of a dispute behind closed doors between Atari and Frontier. But the thing that's very, very interesting about this is Atari is making a return in some way, shape, or form, and that's with the use of arcade cabinets. I don't necessarily know that this is like a formal partnership, but it's at least a step in the right direction, I think, towards potentially melding the old RCT franchise and Planet Coaster potentially. I would love to see that happen because Roller Coaster Tycoon is so much more about the management aspects of the game and how you get to the goal at the very end and scenario work. And I think that's something that Planet Coaster is lacking so much. Worth noting, that date is like 6 months after the previous update. It's never been this long. At least, you know, with the patterns we've seen from Planet Coaster 2 anyway. But this is largely because they rushed to make the game as good as possible after launch because it was not in a full release state, and it's arguably still not, but I think it's at least worth your money still. If you're playing the game for management, then it's basically an early access game. If you're not, then, you know, it's probably one of the best sandbox games you've ever played. Alongside placing and building your own arcades, Update 9 introduces the inclusion of new flat ride blueprints and coaster track variants. We've also included improvements to guest feedback on weather, staff zones, heat maps, and the ability to toggle coaster lights alongside bug fixes to make your gameplay experience even better. Okay. Guest feedback on weather. I don't quite know what this means, but usually the guests will just comment about the weather and then go on with their day. Staff zones I'm very interested in because they're like the most incomplete part of everything. This is my favorite part of the updates. I get to actually read out what's here. Entertainment tab. A new entertainment tab has been added to the browser. From here, players will be able to access the new arcades content introduced in Update 9. So this is probably to do with the modular gift shop and where that is found in the scenery menu. A tab? They didn't actually show this off in the video, so I don't know what form it will take. I can only speculate until the update actually comes out. Included in Update 9 are 14 brand new arcade machines and a prize counter. Yeah, so exactly what I thought from the video. 14 games is crazy. Guests can win prizes from the machines directly, or tickets can be swapped for prizes at the prize counter. Interesting. I wonder what it means if guests win prizes. Do you have to pay them directly? And if they get lucky, do you lose more money than if they lose more often and put more coins in the machines? I have no idea. What does this mean from a management perspective? Guest Chuck E. Cheese's. Oh, you can imagine. People are already thinking about making stuff like that. Park managers can decide how many tickets and prizes their guests can win from their arcades. So put a hard limit on it. Eventually, the casino owner can tell the people gambling that they need to get out if they're winning too much. If they win, then security comes in to arrest them. That would be funny. Yeah, oh gosh. Doesn't that mean you can basically skin over a casino now? That's very silly. And it actually kind of works. All arcade machines, with the exception of the Atari machines, will come with color customization, allowing you to better tailor them to the theme of your park. You can change out everything else except for Pong, Asteroids, and Centipede. More customization is always good. If we didn't have it, people would complain. 100%. They're all skinned as their real-life cabinets. Yeah, it looks really good, too. I'm very impressed with how the Pong, Asteroids, and Centipede cabinets look. Large and small arcade blueprints, both in the Planet Coaster theme. So you can mess around with what you might imagine it to look. We have a whole bunch of flat ride blueprints, more for the aquatic, mythology, Planet Coaster, resort, and Viking theme. Do they just hate Western or something? I don't mean to be that guy, but like I feel like there's very few Western themes in game. Maybe they're investigating what people actually use. Oh, Toy Box themes too. Here's the thing about Toy Box. It's actually a DLC, so maybe people don't use it as much. But stuff like Pirate and Western were both free. So the fact that they're not actually implementing updates like that is kind of cringe. Flat ride blueprints for Sorcery and Toy Box owners. Oh, you were just talking about that. Sorcery Flying Theater, that sounds really cool. Sorcery Gale Force, Toy Box Hyrule, Toy Box Airdrop, Toy Box Wave Sim. I don't know why they didn't just come out the gate with these in their respective packs, but I'm glad that they retroactively have been adding in blueprints for these. Coaster upgrades. These are what I'm particularly interested in. Thick beams have been added on the floorless, sit-down lap bar, sit-down over shoulder, the splashdown variant, stand-up, wave coaster, and wing. Try and buy tube track variations have been added to the energy coaster and the sit-down four-seater from Automax. And of course, the LSM hold and launch variants of the wing. And most notably, if you know my channel already, this particular piece can go into basically an inverted lift top hat. It is insane. There are no limits placed on the hold. So if you want to make a ridiculous piece like I did for Dragon Dance in the wing coaster variant, now you can. If they didn't tone back any of those pieces, I assume you'll still be able to make that happen. Let's get into some of the updates that you know my channel for being interested in. Guest weather improvements. More guest thoughts have been added for dryness. More guest thoughts have been added for temperature. Who even cares? When I look into the guest thoughts menu, I don't really care what they're thinking. I care what they are. Like, what is their status? As long as the guests are happy and like several needs are met, then that's fine. If you want to make a park that actually like cares for your pets, I mean guests, at a good level, then this is something you want to take into account, and it'll probably help the immersion of some of the players that are getting into the game for the first time. Because when you're seeing a lot of the same thoughts over and over and over again, it seems more like the guests have that hive mind NPC brain instead of any actual function behind the scenes. Heat map improvements to adjust the contrast to better distinguish between paths and buildings. Okay, so this just helps you understand what you're looking at when you have the heat map enabled. Something I'd love to see a change to: whenever you place down a blueprint with a power box attached to it, it puts you into that menu where you attach pipes and power cables, and that's just very, very annoying. Staff zone improvements. Adjusted the highlighting when painting staff zones to conform with the terrain. This is huge! They fixed it! They actually fixed it! I'm so happy. I'll just show you, I suppose. So if I make a huge berm, like, or maybe I extend this one up further, I don't know how this will work with underground areas where you're like basically double or triple treading over the same terrain. But let's get out my staff zoning. If you watch my videos, you'll already have seen this. So if I have like rides and path up here, it's really tough to see where the zone actually is. For all I know, it's off by a little bit, and sure enough it is. Like, it's off to the side. If I zone a staff member in this area, they'll have no idea what they're doing, or they'll be doing something that I did not intend for them to do. So track triggers can now be applied to a specific train or all trains, and I called it, baby. I saw this coming. The blue swirly path now has a second color picker option, and this is for specifically the swirl, so something I mentioned on Reddit, and if you're on Reddit, then you'll know this already. Here's the example. Anyway, pool updates. Small pool heater has been added to shallow pools. That's actually quite big. I'm happy to see this, because all the small pools that I've had before that are basically just a circular pool stamp with basically a waiting pool inside, they don't really accomplish much because people don't want to use them. They usually have too few prestige to be helpful, but like literally no one uses it. Career updates. Reduced the amount of medals required to unlock the next chapter in career mode. I see we have some changes in here. It looks like they're tweaking each of the individual career scenarios, or reducing what's required for them, which is basically a band-aid over a big problem anyway. But it looks like they're also changing everything inside of them. I'm not super familiar with all of these, but most notably I want to look at this. Instead of changing the framework of the Garden of Edith scenario, they're instead just giving you more money for completing objectives and giving you more money at the start. And I want to see, did they add anything about making it more obvious what's required and what the scenario objectives are? So if you're not familiar, Garden of Edith, you can only make money through completing objectives. So the fact that you lose money over time actually means that it's basically a pause-only scenario. It's really cringe. I found that particular scenario very interesting, and I did leave the game unpaused. Like, I could play through just fine, but it's because that was before update 8. Like, pretty much all the objectives have been changed and reduced scenery rating requirements. This is a huge one. People were complaining about that. I think they added pool heaters to all of these that didn't previously have them, which they probably should have thought about when they put out update 8. And if that was going to be a problem, then I'd much prefer they actually roll out those changes before we get these big patches that add a whole bunch of new things to the game, because that affects people that get the game on sale and then they put it down because they don't understand what's wrong and they don't want to go to any other forum to complain about it. People shouldn't have to complain to get their answers. If you want to complete the game, it's easier to understand than it ever has been, and it seems that they actually made the game broadly easier. If you are ever interested in doing career at any point, now is a great time to get on track with it. This is not the custom scenario update I was hoping it was, but I'm sure that'll come a little later down the line. When they add custom scenarios, the game gets infinite replayability for me. What makes these games so good in a management perspective is giving you basically objectives to complete. You can complete them however you want as long as you stay within the bounds of the objective. That's what makes them so fun. Coaster Pit by Benji, Technically Imaginaria by the Wix community, Project Alliance from Tinky. You have a specific area to build in, give it your own theme. Although those are more like creatively driven challenges, the game actually, like, if it has scenarios like RCT did, then you can focus on the management so much more, and it means a lot more to your game. And slowly but surely over time, as more of these updates come out, it's going to be more and more robust as that type of game. Eventually, I'm hoping that Planet Coaster 2 can eventually meet the same expectations that Planet Coaster 1 did. I just want the scenarios to actually be interesting. And I feel like something like Garden of Edith is wonderful, but it needs to be telegraphed to the player a little better. Which, you know, a lot of people want to skip all of the little things, and they don't really care about the story much. I don't really fault anyone for not understanding what's going on because they don't want to hear the cringe dialogue. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about that. Let's talk about the bug fixes. Resolved an issue where speakers set to 0% volume would play again on a save or load. I think this happened with me, and it's why I turned those speakers off. Resolved an issue within music panels where preview audio would not stop once the player had pressed the confirm button. This has happened to me a lot. So it seems that now with audio, things will be much easier on the user end to figure out, so you don't have to like quit out to menu and then open back up. Resolved an issue where cable cars would stop running after being seen by a mechanic. This was my issue. Yes, yeah, I gave exact feedback on this, and it got like very top of the priority, and it's getting fixed. That's so huge. Resolved an issue causing water-tracked rides to gain scenery score at a reduced rate. I had no idea this was happening because I never use these. Water-tracked rides just generally don't perform well with guests, so I don't bother. LSM maximum speed raised to 71.5 meters per second. I think it's previously 65 meters per second. That means that your launches can be a little bit more kicky. If only I had this before Dragon Dance, I could probably slam some more track in there. Resolved an issue preventing staff access to large solar panels by adjusting their path connection point. This will not affect large solar panels placed update to update 9. Yeah, this is a huge problem. They're just not ever like connected to path, and you have to be very careful about how you currently connect them. Looks like if you just like pick them up and then place them back down in previous parks, they'll fix themselves. Adjusted pirate theme and fairy tale theme walls to allow corner merging. That's good because it looks ugly if you're working in a grid. Power costs are now correctly updated when ride speed is changed. So I assume this applies mostly to like track rides and monorails. So when you increase the speed of something, it'll actually reflect what it costs to maintain it now. Adjusted castle wall textures to have better alignment. This is good. I've been working with some castle wall textures, so that'll help, I think. Resolved an issue where several sandstone wall pieces were different colors. This might be huge if it actually fixed what I think it does. Adjusted pirate flag hitbox sizes. Okay, now adjust all the other hitbox sizes, please. They make me actively hate the game. Resolved an issue where rough concrete assets were missing the color picker. This was a problem? I thought it was intentional. It's a feature now. You can color concrete, which should have been a thing for a while, but... Adjusted shop lighting to be less bright at night. Just let us turn it off, stinkers. I want to be able to turn it off and like color it higher and lower, whatever. Anyone else with me here? Resolved an issue where the radiant wall heater mounted was missing its on or off toggle. I think I saw that early on when I was messing around with it and just resolved to not use them at all. So... Resolved an issue where the cursor would become stuck when selecting advanced rotate axis. I feel like I've been the recipient of this bug a lot. There's an invisible menu that we can still select from what I'm seeing here. Makes placing items infuriating at the moment. All right, quite a bit coming. I'm excited to get into it later, but for now I need to recover from being sick. Thank you all for joining me for looking through some of the patch notes today. I appreciate it, even though you've probably already seen coverage from another content creator. Sometimes it's through seeing perspectives of different people all together that helps you appreciate what's actually coming. Have a good one. That's an order. Follow it, good soldier. Bye.